All right. Pretty exciting. Welcome to the Jax Falcone AMA, aka Dino Game Theory from the Undroppables. Very, very happy to be here. Hopefully all my boys are paying attention. So, for those of you who know and follow me, obviously we do a lot of work with the fantasy football, space on Twitter. We have the Undroppables, which is at can'tcutlist.com. That's where our articles, rankings, and lots more to come it is posted. We've got a ton of guys. We've got about, I think we're up to 17 members and contributors at this particular point, and we're bringing more people on. We've had a number of guys be, promoted and get an opportunity at some of the bigger sites. So, we've even lost some great talent. So we're really proud of what we're putting together and what we're doing right now. So without further ado, I'll kind of get to some of y'all questions and go from there. So let's start. We'll start with, Ghost Dog himself. When dealing with startup drafts, so Space Ghost Force OG says, when dealing with startup dynasty drafts, what's one crucial mistake that everyone needs to avoid making? And how's the FBX draft going? Scott Fishbowl. Well, thank you first of all for having me on here. It's pretty cool. Just sitting here sort of talking to nobody but talking to everybody is a lot of fun. The Scott Fishbowl, first of all, it can't go bad because even if you lose or even if you mess up, that's all for a good cause. And but honestly, there's a lot of pride on the line. When you start to give advice and you're the type of person that supposedly people are supposed to be listening to, you want to make sure you do a good job and put something out there that people can say, all right, this guy does know what he's talking about. So you try not to make any mistakes. It's going pretty good. I started at the 1.07. I drafted Kamara, fell to me, which I thought was great because for me, he was a top 6 player and kind of wasn't sure what the hell I was going to do if one of those top 6 had not fallen to me. So Kamara falling, I was really excited. Second pick, again, I felt very, very lucky. As Miles Sanders fell to me in a lot of drafts. He was going around that 1-2 turn. So for him to get all the way to 2.06 was great. So in this format also, running backs are at a premium. They go quick and they're very valuable and you can't trade for them because there's no trading. So going, Alvin Kamara, Miles Sanders start was great. 3.07 went ahead and wrapped it up with Chris Godwin. Of course, those of you who do know me know that that's my OG. I've been singing about Godwin for years. Now, of course, he's overpriced, so you're free to sell him, guys, but might as well just hang on. So Godwin. And then actually coming back around the other way, I was going to be looking for another third running back because you really need them, but a lot of them kind of flew off the board just in front of me, and I went ahead and took, in a tight end premium format, I grabbed Zach Ertz, who, is getting old, but, in a 2020 setting, I think he's still going to be a monster. There's some uncertainty with Alshon, of course. There's uncertainty with Deshaun Jackson, now with whatever the heck he did. I saw some blurb about him being a moron. And some rookies and some unknowns. So really it's the 2 tight ends that have any value there. So with those 2 guys, I feel like Ertz should see, upwards of 120 to 150 targets. That's where I'm at right now. Ours is very slow. I'll be waiting for my 5.06 or 5.07 and going from there. In terms of dynasty startup drafts, I'm sure that's kind of my forte. That's why I'm on the team. That's what I bring to the table is really dynasty game theory, dynasty strategy. And crucial mistake that everyone needs to avoid making. Not having a plan, I think, is probably it, because even I would maybe say don't draft old players, but that's not even really true because if your goal is to win at year one and you you got AJ Green and you've got Julio Jones and you've got Marvin Jones, and that's not all that bad as long as you know what you're trying to do. Of course, I've got a totally different strategy than that. But, as long as you know your plan, you're going to stick to it. Especially even in the Scott Fishbowl, a lot of times, people ask me, who do they pick? Who should I pick next? It's like, well, I don't know what you're trying to do. If I know what you're trying to do, hey, I'm going to take quarterback late. Well, then maybe it's a good idea to do this. But, you got to have a little bit of a plan and kind of stick to it and let that whole team make sense at the end of it. I think that's probably the biggest thing I would tell someone drafting a dynasty team is have a plan, understand what you're trying to accomplish. I've had drafts where I've basically only taken one running back or two running backs, and you can't win without running backs, but my plan was to get them the following year because I had a slew of first-round picks based on that plan. So while I wouldn't tell someone, oh, yeah, don't draft running backs, if it's in your plan, maybe that's okay because that's what you're trying to do. So I think that's really it. I'm going to go next to my man, Gurnals. That frog going or whatever the hell it is. Gurnals asks, I noticed you have A.J. Brown as your wide receiver 5 and D.J. Moore as your wide receiver 3. As personally, I'm very high on both, but do you think A.J. Brown will have a massive rise as Tannehill progresses? Being a Titans fan, I know his star potential. I'm just unsure how Tannehill will affect his rise. Also, DJ Moore, high-end wide receiver 2 or 1. I love DJ Moore as a wide receiver, but I keep seeing him being taken around 3 to 5 due to his messed up ADP. Look, I think, I always say, I don't get paid to tell you the history. I get paid to tell you the future. And, with A.J. Brown, everything from his college profile, his age-adjusted dominance, his body, his athleticism, his attitude, all the scouting, his performance and dominance in year one, he's a stud. He's, the only thing that will stop A.J. Brown isn't even Ryan Tannehill. It's going to be A.J. Brown. He's going to be successful in this league unless he gets hurt, unless something happens to him where his attitude changes, his work ethic changes, which I just don't see happening. He's an absolute stud. And I actually think he's, a better wide receiver than DJ Moore. Maybe the situation and 1 year less in the NFL is the reason for the difference. But DJ Moore came out, same type of thing. He came out as a really a top level prospect, a little bit under the radar until late. There was only a few people sort of pimping him, and then all of a sudden, when you heard NFL.com start to jump on the DJ Moore bandwagon, that's when you knew, okay, something's coming. And of course, he was a first-round wide receiver taken off the board, and at that point, once the NFL loved him, I was all in too. The only thing that's really scared me with DJ Moore has been the touchdowns. And when you play for a bad team, sometimes you don't score touchdowns, right? Nobody does. That was probably the biggest thing there was, he just wasn't scoring touchdowns. He hasn't scored touchdowns. If you put him in any list of under 23-year-old guys who have done what he's done, the list is amazing. But if you look at those touchdowns, he falls way behind those guys. So we would like to see that sort of regression start to back up to a sort of a normal number. So I'd love to see him score 7, 8, 9 touchdowns this year. That would be great. He doesn't need to score 15. He's going to be a high volume guy, a great yak guy. He's going to give you everything you want. Hopefully just get in that end zone. Let's move down here. Let's see who else is here. Ask. I love this question. So I put out a buy sell. Did it kind of off the cuff. I just kind of went through ADP and picked a bunch of guys that I thought were values at ADP. And Dom FFL says, can you please explain Trequan Smith as a buy, other than just the fact that he's free on every league's waivers? I've been a buy on him for the past couple of years, but he's had the opportunity and not done anything with it. Somewhat true. Sometimes you'd see him out there for a kind of a heavy snap share, no targets, nothing. And I don't know if he's been a little bit of a decoy in the first year or two. When he has been targeted, he's been super efficient and productive. As a matter of fact, he's been a big play guy, a touchdown scorer. His age-adjusted dominance in college was at an 80th percentile. His body is perfect. He's got a great NFL body. His athleticism was great, and his NFL efficiency has been superb. Opportunity has been there without production, which scares me to death, but that's why he's free. So at the end of the day, if all these other things are the reason that he's going to be good, and the opportunity and effectiveness and target share has just been sort of, hey, he's a young player on a veteran team opposite of Michael Thomas, I can live with that. Also, the role that he kind of plays has been that Ted Ginn role, and Ted Ginn, the Frank Gore of the wide receiver landscape, has just not moved out of his way. Imagine if instead of Frank Gore, it had been Deshaun Jackson. Maybe he'd have had an opportunity to get in there and make something happen. So I thought that was kind of the thing that held him back. And obviously, you got to be prepared for Trequan Smith, the buy, to not work. You just have to buy him for nothing and put him on your roster somehow. Move down. Tater Nanner 23. Tater Nanner 23. Why is Kenyan Drake a sell, and what would you expect in return for him? Why is Jarvis Landry a buy? Look, at the end of the day, the why Kenyan Drake is a sell and why Jarvis Landry is a buy, those are easier to answer. So I'll get to the other one, which is what would you expect in return for him? I'll tell you right now, I never answer this question on Twitter or anywhere for that matter. And the reason is I have no idea. I have no idea what your league looks like. I mean, the only real currency that you can look at is two things, ADP and draft picks. So if you're going to ask me if you can sell him for a first round 2021 first, sure. If you're going to tell me you're going to sell Kenyan Drake for a 2021 second, I'd say no. So I guess that's his value. But I don't think that's really the trade you're going to make. But you're going to make a trade where you're selling Kenyan Drake and who knows what else to maybe get yourself a more preferred, more stable running back asset. If I could sell Kenyan Drake and other things and some other stuff, and somehow the other way J.K. Dobbins comes my way, what are those things? I don't know. What do you got on your team? What's the guy who's got Dobbins on his team? Maybe he's not interested in selling Dobbins. Move on. Go look for a guy who's getting a little nervous about JT or Akers or Sanders or Chubb. So that's kind of what I would do. I mean, maybe you've got a slew of running backs, and this other guy doesn't, and he's got Michael Thomas, and you can somehow finagle a way to get a top level wide receiver for Kenyan Drake. Who knows, right? You have to be creative in your own league to figure out what your expected return would be for him. That's just part of the skill, man. You got to make that shit happen. Why is he a sell? Don't know if he's good. Look, I've said openly and out loud, wherever people have heard me, that Kenyan Drake has legitimate RB1 overall in 2020 upside. I mean, that offense runs at a high pace. They run block well. They create a lot of open lanes. The running quarterback creates a lot of open lanes. Fast quarterback. Kenyan Drake can get to that second level quick. He can have a lot of big plays. He can be a huge, huge player this year. So I say he's a sell. That doesn't mean that I don't think that there isn't any possibility of him being absolutely dope this year. Hang on to him. Why would I sell? Well, because he hasn't been the lead back ever. So never. Maybe in Pop Warner or third grade, but he's just never been the lead back, in Alabama, and everybody said, well, there's other guys in Alabama. Well, there's other guys in the NFL. He's just never been the lead back. He's never been able to secure that. Chase Edmonds looked pretty good last year. He's coming back. They drafted Eno Benjamin, draft capital, so he really still has that clear runway to targets and touches Kenyan Drake. I'm just dubious. So I'm very dubious. And also, by and large, in general, this takes me to the bigger point, which is I'm always looking to sell running before they fall rather than after they've fallen. David Johnson was worth a lot at the beginning of last year. He was the 5th overall pick in the Scott Fishbowl. So he was a sell last year, right? Someone can say, well, obviously, but, it was harder to see it then. Same thing with a guy like Kenyan Drake. He could have a huge year, but always want to sell running backs towards the back of their age apex, which, believe it or not, Kenyan Drake's getting close to because he's been wasting away on a few teams already. Why is Jarvis Landry a buy? Because he's being treated like he's 30. He isn't. He's 27, 28 years old. His playing style will give him the opportunity to be damn productive, like an Edelman and like a Fitzgerald. He's more of a slot target monster who gets open with guile and technique, right? He's not overpowering you. He's not Randy Moss running down the field, and if you lose a step, it's all over. He is a tactician and a technician, and he's probably going to – there's nothing behind him. There's nobody pushing him out of the way. I haven't looked at the contract, but I think he's kind of locked up there too. There's really no negativity, except I see the ADP is a little bit low. So get him. Just go get him. Oh, I love this. Mo money, mo problems. Mo money, mo problems. Ask me. You've got JT all the way up at 5, ahead of proven running backs with plenty of youth left like Mixon, Chubb, and Jacobs. Could you speak a little on what jumps out to you about Taylor? This is my favorite question. This is what do we got? Another 45 minutes? This is going to be 45 minutes of Jonathan Taylor. No, I'm totally joking. But look, the way I look at running backs is I evaluate them coming out of college, and the studs, in my opinion, I'm seldom wrong about this, but generally I'm right. The studs coming out of college are going to produce very early, sometimes as early as year 1, certainly almost always year 2. So I want them. I just want them. I'm ready for them. Now, does that mean that I'm going to have to pay that much to get them? Maybe not. Maybe I can get them in the second round of a dynasty startup. But if push comes to shove, I want him over Chubb and Jacobs. Mixon is closer for me, of course, as you see. And, he's just an absolute study. He's the fastest, biggest running back ever, that's basically what he is, right? And, the best speed score of all time, and that's not the reason. When that goes with what you see on film and what he put up in terms of statistics, right? So it's not one thing. I've gotten into this conversation on Twitter before. Fast person does not mean he's a great running back. A great running back who is also world-class, exceptional size, speed specimen is more likely to be an elite NFL player. That's all. In other words, I love David Montgomery's skill set, just real slow. And if David Montgomery were the athlete that Jonathan Taylor is, he's probably actually a better back. He's pretty damn nifty. Taylor doesn't need to be nifty. He's just gone. So, he'll learn some skill. Taylor will. He's also going to be running behind one of the best offensive lines. I also love the organization, right? At this point, from the top down, I believe that Jonathan Taylor will be utilized correctly because of smart coaching and a committed and unified front office. And his dominating skill set and college production is off the charts. So everything points to him being great. If that makes him not a great player, happy to miss on those guys. If I see another one like that come through college, he's going to vault up the boards as well. So it's process, and that's what leads you there. You just got to believe in it. K2 asks, can I ask this? No, K2, you can't. So let's move to the next one. No, I'm just joking. Is Mostert RB1, or do you think it will be him and Coleman all year? Well, I don't mean to get too coach narrative based here, but, that's what happens, man. You look at the numbers, and the numbers show that, there's never been really an RB1 in San Francisco under Shanahan, and it's not like Mostert is he's not Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins coming into the place going, hey man, this is my job. He's an undrafted vagabond who's been on 8 teams or some crazy thing. Now, he's fast, he's slashy, but so isn't Coleman. Fading Mostert at his cost. I love Mostert. If I can steal him late in a startup or somehow get him thrown into a trade, sure. He's a great dart throw upside quarterback. Let's face it, he's on the best running attack, well, one of the best running attacks in the NFL. So he's going to get opportunities to score you fantasy points. And he's explosive. So I like him, but I think it will be at cost. I'm taking Tevin Coleman. I can't believe I'm saying that because I haven't been taking Tevin Coleman for years. But at cost, absolutely. Next up, great names. I mean, you got a picture of the Joker. His name is Frosty Helix. Damn, I got to rethink my whole name out there. Frosty Helix, Calvin Ridley. You predict him to be the third-year breakout wide receiver or perennial wide receiver 2 status? Well, if Julio's not dead, he's perennial wide receiver 2. That's simple. Let me know when Julio is either dead, retired, or traded, and we can talk about Calvin Ridley as anything other than a compliment. The GOAT. Okay, moving along. I can't read this. Heart. It's only one spot, but still feels significant. I like this question. Why do you have Saquon over CMC? Honestly, it's a great question. I love this question. And a little bit is to be an asshole, right? But it's because it's a question mark in my mind, Actually, if you look at CMC and Barkley, they're closer in age than you might think. They're only a few months apart. So the age thing isn't it. It comes down to recency bias a little bit. And, going into last year, if you all remember, Barkley was the clear 1.01, not only in Dynasty, but in redraft. And so as we look at, what Saquon is now, he's really only a guy who had a high ankle sprain last year. Everything else that we knew about him is still true. He's still the arguably the greatest college football running back prospect ever. Certainly one of the top 5. JT in that top 5 as well, by the way. But just in terms of pure prospect, then he comes out and he does the things that we're like, holy shit, this guy's unbelievable. I mean, he's just throwing guys around, jumping over people, fastest guy on the field, best receiving running back. I mean, he's just unbelievable. So he's still that guy. And so if I'm at the 1.01 in the one quarterback league and I've got to decide Saquon or CMC, I want to have that conversation with myself. And if I'm in a league with other guy, I want to have that conversation before we auto pick CMC. I think it's a conversation. I think it's a worthy one. So, if I were in a league with a guy who was strong CMC, we'd take CMC. I'd give in. I'd be fine with it. It's a loosely held 1.01, but I tell you, it's there enough. If it was me, I would pull the trigger on Saquon first. I think most of these guys, what I wanted to do was have a little bit of a different voice on the Undroppables because I feel that way. I didn't want to just be, with the herd on that one. So I appreciate that. I love that question because it's something that I gave some thought to. Wow. This is my favorite guy yet. So CEH hype train conductor. Let's see. I'm only going to do which one is better. I'm going to go right here. So CEH hype train conductor. Didn't ask me about CEH, which is disappointing because that'd be fun too. Could you talk to us about why you're high on Geis? I feel like I'm the only one in the Discord actively trying to get him in redraft. This one's, again, it's binary, man. What if I told you that Darius Geis will never suffer another knee injury as long as he plays football, and he plays football for the next 8 years? Take him in the first 2 rounds. He's awesome. He's never not been awesome. Never. He's never not been awesome. Never, ever. In college, he was awesome. In high school, he was awesome. When he got to the pros, his first run was like a 35-yard run where he threw someone down by the helmet. He's awesome. Various guys is undeniably awesome. That's why I'm so high on him. But my goodness gracious, is he a scary guy to draft and to put your eggs in his basket? Absolutely. That the Washington team, everything else other than his skill set is scary. Injury profile, eesh. And he can't not hurt his knee every 5 seconds. It feels like he's a knee injury. He's had like 3 kind of major knee injuries in the last 2 to 3 years. It's really scary. Washington as a team, scary. You know, a rookie quarterback, the whole team, the ownership. I mean, they brought in Ron Rivera, who I actually think is going to steady the ship a little bit. That's a good thing. But again, a coaching change. There's 242 active running backs on that roster. You can check on that. I think it's 242. It's a high number, you know, but Gibson and Love and Adrian Peterson is the one I don't like because he's a legend and he's still somehow awesome. And he's kind of an alpha and he's going to swing his dick around and want to be the guy like he did in New Orleans. And they just kind of said, you know what, we're good, peace out. But he was not hearing any bench talk at all. And that's a problem as well. So there's a lot of negatives about Geis's situation. But the reason I'm so high on him is because he is fucking awesome. Hope this is not a PG show. Originally from Boston, like to swear a lot. Let's move along. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. Oh, shit. No, pardon me. It's Stephen L. Smith. Okay, so I'll still answer the question. Do you think Allen Robinson, yes, whatever you're going to ask, yes, could be a top 10 fantasy receiver because of his pretty easy strength of schedule? Look, I don't care. He's fantastic. He was top 10 last year with Trubisky and all sorts of dysfunction. Hopefully they can be a little bit better. I think he can absolutely do that. I mean, I think he was 3rd in targets. I'm just shooting from the hip here. I don't have anything prepared, as you guys can tell. But Allen Robinson was just awesome. You can check my notes. Wide receiver 6 and 3rd in targets is my stupid guess off the cuff. It's got to be pretty close. But I think he can push for number 1 in targets. There's still not much competition there. Draft a tight end. They don't really bring in a wide receiver. Unless you Riley Ridley stands or, feeling like they're just Riley Ridley will probably push Allen Robinson to the side. You guys know me, know that sarcasm. So he's got nobody there. Anthony Miller is going to be the Alvin Ridley to that offense. And Tariq Cohen will probably play some in the slot. I think Javon Wims is like their 3rd receiver. It's ridiculous. So they've got some issues. So the second part of his question, I will probably hit on. Dante Parker has the hardest strength of schedule. Should we avoid him in redraft? If his quarterback were Mitch Trubisky, yes, but it's not. It's the fucking magician. So it doesn't give a shit if he's covered or open. It's going, man. Right? And if it gets picked off, who cares? We're going to be down more. We're going to need to throw more. It's still going to him. So I think a little bit of the YOLO factor of Fitzpatrick makes me want Devontae Parker. Obviously, the other problem is Tua. Tua's great, but I don't know how much he's going to play. And if he does, how good he'll be. We know what Fitzmagic is. So he points out the cornerbacks he's going to face. And sometimes year to year, those things change too. A guy that we thought was good loses a step in the secondary and he's not as good. So I try not to go too hard on that, but I think at his price, he's still okay. He's still the last of the sort of elites or that sort of top tier. He's kind of going after all those guys, usually even after sometimes McLaurin and all those guys. So yeah, he's usually going as an WR, late WR2, sometimes even early WR3, which I think that's great value for him. I wouldn't reach for him. Let's see. Let's go to Tigers. Spelled the right way. Geaux, Tigers. What do you think Jeudy will do in the Broncos offense? Do you think his playing time and ability to prove himself will be limited to Courtland Sutton? I think they play different positions. Jeudy's going to be a slot guy. Sutton is the Alpha X. I mean, if you got to give John Elway credit about one thing, I mean, he does have the perfect configuration. The Alpha X and Cortland Sutton, the nifty, high level slot receiver and Jerry Jeudy, and the stretch Z and KJ Hamler. I think they also set themselves up nicely to play some 12 personnel with Alberto, who that's the guy everybody's sleeping on. I've got him in every dynasty league. Look, he may flame out, of course. He's no guarantee, but at his cost, he's a must own. You gotta own Alberto in dynasty. No, I think Judy's going to play that role, and I think he's going to step right in and play it. How many targets he'll see? I mean, how quickly he gets it? How much he's spelled by whoever the hell they've got that can hold a candle to Jerry Jeudy's talent? I don't see it. I think they're going full force with what they've got. They invested in it. I think it's exactly what they want to do. They're going to say, Drew Lock, here's your peeps. Make it happen. We got you Melvin Gordon. So yeah, they're all in, I think, and I think rightfully so. I'll give you the second part of this question too. Do you think Justin Jefferson could be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in the coming years? No, I don't. I don't think he's that, but I do think he could be, a target monster as well. I think things will change for Justin Jefferson, pretty quickly. It could even change this year. Thielen has been somewhat fragile. He's certainly old. So how long does Thielen hold on to that sort of alpha slot receiver spot? That's what he is. And that's really what Justin Jefferson wants to be. Now, he can play outside. He can do all that stuff. But if you're a Justin Jefferson owner, you want him to be a slot alpha, a lot like Jarvis Landry, but with athleticism, who can hopefully take some yak. So, yeah, he could be pretty good. Do I think he's a OBJ level type receiver that's just going to pop? I don't. I've been wrong before. I think I was wrong about OBJ a little bit too. So it's possible, but I think it's a slimmer range of outcome than even OBJ was. So, I'll actually give you a take that I think is pretty hot. So someone look, LSU is so good. Someone could be bad. It could be Justin Jefferson, it could be Jamar Chase, although probably not. It could be CEH. It could be Burrow. It could be someone. Someone could just be not bad, but not elite NFL. And they're all basically being pegged as elite NFL. Justin Jefferson, first-round pick. CEH, first-round pick. Burrow, one overall pick. Jamar Chase, the best thing ever next year, 2021 1.01. I don't know, are they all that good? Or was one or two of them the product of how good the other one or two were? Which ones are the ones that are good? Which is kind of why I'm a slight fade on CEH. I do love his skill set and his placement, but I don't know. Something stinks there. Something smells a little bit. CEH. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I'm just saying how, certainly closer to James White than he is to CMC is all. That's it. So he's somewhere in between there. He's probably going to be a pretty good little player, but just 1.01 rookie draft, have him. Moving down. Man, this is a good one. I should be answering this. I need to answer to this. J-Man, J-M-A-N 1406 with the Tennessee Titans logo. Tennessee Titan fan, J-Man 1406. How do you feel about Daniel Jones in Superflex Dynasty? Buying or selling? Well, I've been very with the entire NFL draft, fantasy dynasty community, pretty low on Daniel Jones, sort of famously so. And he was a lot better than I thought he'd be. He made a lot of terrible mistakes with the football, and that's that slow processing of a rookie. He just sort of held it, waiting for it to happen, and Rush gets there faster in the pros than it does at Duke, obviously. Hey, give him a chance. He might be able to learn it. My general feeling about my second quarterback in Dynasty, this is a huge deal, right? So hear this out. This is Dynasty Game Theory 101. Superflex, who are playing your second quarterback, even your third quarterback, because of buys and injuries. So I tend to want a more secure option, Superflex, as my second quarterback. So in a one quarterback league, where I may already have some sort of stud somewhere, probably something, some sort of top 10 player, even Matt Ryan. Let's just say I got Matt Ryan. Oh, now I love Daniel Jones because I don't need Daniel Jones. So if I'm taking a swing, give me the swing on the guy with the higher upside. I'd much rather have Daniel Jones than find a safe floor, easy car. Obviously, it's a great example, but not that I, want David Carr over Daniel Jones in Superflex, because I don't, but closer, because I know Carr will sort of just be good, whereas Daniel Jones could be disaster. It's possible. So, but he also has a much higher ceiling than David Carr. So, and Derek Carr, actually. David, Derek, and Django Carr, that's the 3Ds. They're brothers. They were twins. Held Derek back 4 years just to let him play at an older age in college. You guys don't need to hear all this. Derek Carr, David Carr, David, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, roll the dice, baby. T-Money 21. Is Anthony McFarland the next guy up behind James Conner? If and when he gets the starting job, what is his ceiling in that offense? Great question. A lot will tell as to whether or not they keep Jalen Samuels or not. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there, but to me, I think there's a two-headed back behind Conner. I think if Conner got hurt, it would be a Snell, McFarland share, and I want the McFarland touches more than the Snell touches. The Snells are going to be the David Montgomery 20 touches, the 20 carries for 62 yards up the middle between the 20s. And McFarland's going to have, 10 catches and 10 carries and 5 catches. They're all going to be more exciting and a higher propensity for gaining yards and scoring touchdowns. McFarland is that slasher. At the very least, he's a Mostert, Tevin Coleman type. Hopefully, he can become a little bit more than that. I don't think he has a clear path to alpha status. It's cloudy. The Magic 8 Ball says it's cloudy. So let's see. Who else haven't we hit on? Let's see if there's someone I haven't hit on. Oh, my man, Gemmo. Gemmo, the icon, is in the house right now. Oh, my God. You guys don't know Gemmo, the icon. Follow and just get in his vortex. It's a good vortex to be in, man. Guy's got the best thing going. So who will the Bears starting quarterback be at the start of the season? Will he keep the job the rest of the way? And I've been betting on this, with a hedge. I've been betting on it by drafting Foles and Trubisky in dynasty startups, figuring, hey, both free because nobody knows, nobody wants either guy, and so they come to you pretty cheap. And if you have them both, I guess you have a starting quarterback in the Superflex league early. But I think the Foles signing means that Trubisky is no longer the guy. I mean, I don't have the quote in front of me, but something about, when they asked Trubisky about the 5th-year option, he was kind of, yeah, that's probably a good idea or something like that. Like, this guy is beaten, man. He has just given up. So I don't think he's got what it takes to be that guy. I just don't think he is he's that guy. So, think, though, they might roll him out there in week 1. So if I had to bet, I would bet Trubisky rolls out week 1. And I would bet on that, and I would love it if he just fucking somehow held on to it. And just all these nonsense. Who knows, man? I mean, it's just they'll be searching for their starter next offseason as well, if you're asking me. So maybe they're in the line for Trevor Lawrence, That team could be real bad. I got a lot of hate, if you remember, Gemmo, last year for calling them mediocre. And what was amazing is they ended up being mediocre. Would have been a nice word to say they were. So anyway, I got to go back to the Space Ghost Force just because he's kind of the OG here. Asking me a dynasty question. Do you prefer stacking players on your roster or spreading your eggs across many baskets? As long as those baskets are high-scoring offenses or really talented players, I don't give a shit, right? So, of course, you'd, I guess, rather have some diversity so that way you're not, hamstrung. You don't want all guys on the same team, especially wide receivers. I happen to like all of the Dallas receivers in Dynasty, which is a question I don't know if anybody asked, but I get asked every now and again about the 3 Dallas receivers. And because I'm kind of high on all 3 of them. People say, how is that possible? How can you? I said, well, first of all, definitely sunny side up real quick. Just want to hit up on Ed, but pretty simple with the Dallas team. Gallup is here this year, probably gone next year. Contract runs out. Amari saw, I want to say, 120 targets last year. Gallup saw about 115. Tight end saw 120. And Randall Cobb saw 83. So if you just give them back their target, just give back. Say, okay, Amari 120, Gallup 115, Cobb 83. Obviously, there's no way that Jarwin's getting 121, so maybe he gets half that. There's some targets still to go around in that offense, and I think they're going to play that set. 11 personnel, TD, Gallup, Amari, Jarwin, Zeke, be a very popular lineup for them, and I think there's going to be a high snap share for all those players. I think they're going to be playing a lot. I think they're going to be scoring a lot. It's going to be a great offense. And then next year, things change again. Maybe it's just Amari, CD, and someone else, and Gallup goes somewhere else. And he's kind of the man. I think all 3 are really good. And I think they'll have enough seasons this year. One of them may have an outstanding season. You don't know who it is. One of them may have an outstanding week. That may be the frustrating part about owning them, is you don't know who. But like in that case, I wouldn't want to stack. I've had the Drew Brees, Kamara, Michael Thomas stack like that. That's a stack I like. I've even had the Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill stack. Nothing wrong with that. You get a little bit of Kelsey or Tyreek, but it's usually enough for it doesn't matter. One of them is going to go off. So yeah, I think as long as you're stacking from prolific offenses, stack them up, baby. Sunny side or scrambled. I make a damn good scrambled egg. My wife's in the other room. She come in here, she'll tell you, brother. Damn good scrambled egg. I got to go back to Go Tigers. Go Tigers comes in and says, would you do DJ Chark, 2nd round pick, CEH? This guy coming straight from LSU wants me to talk about all sorts of LSU. Oh, man. And I feel like you could get more. How's that? You've piqued my interest. So if I own CEH, would I sell him for that? I probably would want to, but I probably wouldn't because I feel like I could get more, right? So Hope that answers your question. I think that's the right way to answer. So Go Tigers asks, would you do DJ Chark? That's second round pick for CEH. Value still on CEH because he's a top, 15 to 20 startup pick right now for sure. And DJ Chark isn't. So a second doesn't make up that difference in cost, but it certainly does. Maybe want to go get him. Real quick, gotta give a shout out. So I want to give a couple shout outs and drop some questions if you're following along. AMA, I think they told me it stands for America Made. No, Ask Me Anything. That's what it's supposed to stand for. So they ask me anything. I don't give a shit. But what I wanted to talk about is some of the guys and just kind of give some shout outs to some of my brothers who have given me an opportunity to kind of doing what I'm doing. 101 Chalk. So Chalk, if y'all know Chalk, he's super smart, man. He and I have been coming up in this fantasy world and on Twitter and together for, I don't know, last 3-4 years, whatever it's been, a couple years, more serious than the last. But we just, every time I would say something, he would say the same thing or whatever, just like minds. And Chalk is the sort of the brains behind Undroppables and asked me to be here. And I can't say enough about thanking him to be part of this project. It's really exciting. The Undroppables right now, with so much going on in terms of, you guys got to check out. We're going to have a lot of podcasts coming along. I'll be having one very, very soon. Kind of put mine on a little bit of a hold just to kind of let everybody get used to hearing my cohorts. Beezy, Jake B song, Beezy B. What up? Beezy B. Pauly Sleepers, Paul Lundegaard. FF Terminator. Great dude, great Southern accent. Takes his time. Has some fucking fire takes. So those three guys get together and have an awesome, just an awesome vibe of a podcast. I can't say enough about it. I love it. It's a little bit like nothing we've really heard too much before. Moves quick, which a lot of the 3-man booths, they just drag on. It's a lot of nonsense and a lot of filler and a lot of bullshit stories that nobody wants to hear. These guys kind of get right to it, but yet they do inject some fun. So I think it's just a great listen. I also have a lot of knowledge, which I lean on with them. I'm sort of what I do, but they kind of know, they know the offensive coordinator from every team and, the past, the scheme and the this and that. And I love it because being a former player and a former quarterback, I know what a scheme is. I just don't know every single team. Like, you guys know every single team, what their play callers are looking to do. And it's really helpful to help add context to what I know. And hopefully I do the same for them. So we're not all homogenous over there. There's really a different, angle coming from each guy, which I like. There's a few places that do good work, by the way, out there, but they're all very much the same. And it's also good because you're getting a consistent product. With us, we really kind of believe in one another. We do disagree with one another sometimes, but our rankings aren't the same. If you go down our consensus rankings, they're not the same. So, yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. Dan Brown, or D Brown, is another contributing member. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody. Dave, the professor, Dave Marchand. I mean, he edits all the podcasts. He's just doing so much work with the website. And then we just have a bunch of contributors in. We'll tweet them out. I don't want to miss anybody and just name a couple, but obviously my little bro and the guy that I'm looking out for is, Master June, Minshew Brofist. Y'all know him, man. Mark Mathick is just one of the greatest guys out there. He's doing amazing work. He works across the globe and up at all sorts of weird hours because it's probably normal over there. But for me, he's always hitting me up at all sorts of weird times, and he's just working his ass off with his job and doing everything he can to. He donates his time to a bunch of websites and dynasty outlets. So just a lot of great work we're doing. We're bringing on some new people. We're bringing on some new ideas. We're like I said, we've got our rankings up, which we proudly have as Superflex rankings. A lot of ranking services for Dynasty will always have them as a single quarterback, which is a little bit harder than them where to put them in Superflex. If you have them as Superflex, it's way easier to just fade all the quarterbacks down and then the rankings, play for themselves. So, we're really, we're really happy about what we're bringing to the table. So hopefully all guys can pay attention to all that. Let's get back to it. My main man, I thought it was lead. It's actually lead. Fucking lead, man. LED. I think he's even got a gun pointed my way. I'm going to answer all your questions, sir. Do you think Tyrod makes it past week 4? Oh, snap. Love that. Dinobot getting it handled. Love that shit. That's a great question. I hadn't even thought of it. I think so, actually, because I think they want to win over there. I think Justin Herbert is a project. Yeah, I do. I think Tyrod has the green light to give him the whole season. So unless they start going 2-7, 2-8, he's in trouble. But even if they're 3-5, I think unless he's completely shit in the bed, I really think they're going to roll him out there. 0-4, well, yeah, maybe that's a problem. But I think Tyrod is their guy this year. I don't obviously not for the future they wouldn't have drafted Herbert, but I think they look at Herbert as a red shirt and Tyrod, hey, this is your season. It's yours to lose. How's that? I think he might be good enough to hang on to it. I don't know if they make the playoffs. I think they're actually going to be close. Their defense is good. Their offense, a skill position. I think they'll be a little sneaky. Put them down for Jeff Fisher, 7-9, right? Where's another good one I saw here? Hold on. All right, I'll answer. Space goes for us. I'll go to you again, baby. But does Kelsey or Kittle finish as the number 1 tight end, or do you like anybody else? I don't like anybody else. I think it's Kelsey or Kittle's to lose, especially I think it's Kelsey's until Debo got hurt. Maybe Kittle gets a little bit more. I mean, Kittle's just such an all-around tight end. Kittle is the 1.01 tight end for sure. But, he's not going to have the opportunity to run around as much as Kelsey, who's just a monster. But 5 years older, obviously you got to take Kittle ahead of him in Dynasty. But Kelsey's the 1.01 tight end, and really his to lose. I mean, he's the GOAT. I mean, Gronk is the best tight end I've ever seen play, but he's not going to get enough opportunity on that team. They've continued to hold on to O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. I think that says all you need to know about maybe the usage of Gronk. Now, if they trade O.J. Howard, well, then I take it all back. All right. Preferred, I love this question. Base goes first. Preferred scoring format, size, bonuses or not? Do you do the IDP thing? Okay. First of all, I will tell you, this is a good question. I commish some juicy dynasty leagues. I take great pride in being a commissioner. I don't always like to be the commissioner, but when I am, I really want to do a great job, and I want it to be a fucking dope league. I have strong held opinions on this. A lot of what I do is what Scott Fish is doing this year. 6-point touchdown. 3-point interception. He's actually brought it up to 4. I go 6-3. 2 for a lost fumble. I don't have a pick 6, although I've toyed with it. I think I would add it. If I was doing a league right now, I'd have another -3 for pick 6. So it'd be -3 for pick 6, 6-point passing touchdown. I've always had a plus 0.1 and minus 0.1 for completions. A guy, whoever, if a guy, goes 30 or 40, he's got points because he's got 20 more completions than incompletions. That's 2 points. I suppose you could play with those dials. He did his a little bit differently, and creates a little bit of a negative number. I wouldn't prefer that in a standard fantasy league that I'm going to have for a long period of time. But I've had completion in there for a long time. Like I said, I've had it at 0.1, which is only about a point or two either way if you have a shitty or a great game. But that can always make the difference, and it does put a little emphasis on the more efficient throwers. I have that in my leagues, and I love it. I also do half PPR. PPR feels too heavy, and standard is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I definitely go half PPR. And then I like to go half a point or somewhere thereabouts. I've played with that number to a quarter point, half a point, somewhere in there, or first down. So for first down. And then that's about it. Everything else is kind of normal from there. I do play a little IDP. I don't commission an IDP league. It's been kind of fun. IDP is just too much for me. I'm not good at it yet. Maybe I could be, but I'm just not. Maybe, who knows? I'm favored to be third in a 32-team league. IDP, fucking unbelievable. I don't know how I did that. So sometimes you just get lucky. But sign up this way. Will you sign up in our Discord tourney? Are you over? I'm definitely overloaded already. Will you sign up in our Discord tourney, or are you overloaded? I'll give it a look, and so I will consider it for sure. How's that? I will consider it for sure. And but yeah, overloaded. We're all overloaded. I mean, but I'm not as overloaded as some of these other guys who play in 40 leagues. I think I'm in 10 to 15, but I do have 2 children, which count for 52 leagues each. So I'm in 104 leagues when you factor in my kids. Thanks. So yeah, that's 52 leagues per kid is kind of the equivalent. The other cool ones. Let me just read some of this stuff that you guys threw out there. Maybe something I missed that I would think is awesome. Tight end J-Man 1406. I think he asked a question earlier, but the tight end premium, would you be comfortable trying to stream one of Higbee, Jarwin, Goddard, or try to trade and upgrade? I'm fine with that. I'd trade Higbee just because I think he's a sell high candidate, but I love Jarwin and Goddard, and I think Higbee is a sell high. I mean, he's going crazy high. I see him ranked in the top 8 tight ends, redraft, and all this shit. Sell Higbee. And I think Goddard's going to be a stud again. He's the chalk. So we talk about what we talked about with JT. Why is JT so high? It's the same reason that Goddard's high, because he's fucking dope. You just watch him; he's great. He did get punched out, which lowered him down. I had to lower my rankings quite a bit after getting sucker punched. I mean, really, I thought he could have taken that hit and fucked that guy up, but cold. So that's definitely a demerit. Even though it was a sucker punch, really he's supposed to have peripheral vision because, as he's coming out of his break, he needs to see it coming. So he didn't see it coming. And then he took it in the choppers and was starched. So I thought that was really bad. Guy's got to have his head on a swivel, so hey, live and learn. What else? That's a good one. Gurnals. Which handcuff are you most set on buying out of the following factors? RB1's injury risk and history, RB1's durability, handcuff ceiling and floor, and the opportunity to take over. I don't buy handcuffs. I buy backs who I think are as good or better than starters in the NFL. That's the best way to go, because here's what happens when you have a guy that is, where's a good one? Don't even name a name, but let's just say you have a shitty handcuff. When I say shitty, I just mean you think he's the handcuff, right? He's the handcuff. The lead back gets hurt, and then that team trades for Marlon Mack. You didn't have the fucking handcuff. You had just a guy. You had a guy. So when you have a guy, you still have a guy. At the end of the day, they're going to replace him. So I'd rather have Marlon Mack than the agile guy, whoever the guy is, right? So, without naming names, right? So that's really what it comes down to. If you're looking to especially in Dynasty. You know, I made him maybe in redraft. You know, you look at it, Alexander Madison as a guy, and I think he'd be the lead back, although Boone is also very good. I think it could be more of a 60-40, 50-50 split than others do. So I don't know if he instantly walks in as an RB1. I'm dubious about that. So I'm always dubious. You know, JJ Zacharyson did a lot of good work on handcuffs and some numbers that led you to know that it's not a very good idea to handcuff yourself. That was an hour. I could probably, someone's got some more, you know, good questions. You can drop them in there. I'd ask a couple more, but let's see what's going on. Let's see what just came up here. Thanks for, yeah, absolutely, guys. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure. We were just talking to myself, although I do it all the time. You know, I'm married with kids, so I just sit in the other room and fucking fool myself all day long. So let's see. I'll fucking say something. Hold up. Let's mention the dynasty rankings. I mean, that's all there. Popping it. Those are the guys. Got a couple links there in the Discord. Definitely check them out. Oh man. Is Gesicki the man this year? He's the man to push off a bridge. If you're right on there, you know, just shove him over. I mean, come on, Gesicki is a bad football player with a lot of physical traits, and so we've seen that before. I'd definitely be fading Gesicki, but he's a real nice guy. You know, his hairline is also a big problem for me. So you got to watch out. I mean, he's 22. He's got the hairline, a lot of steroids, a lot of things have been going on there potentially. So you got to be careful. But thank you. And I think Space Ghost Force asked if I'm available to DM or something like that, and then he deleted it. He's fucking with me a bit. But thank you, guys. Thanks for coming out. Hopefully it sounded good. Hopefully it looked good. Hopefully I gave you something that you were looking for, and not just a bunch of bullshit. I think I'm good at both, so I'm not sure which one I gave you guys today. But it was a lot of fun, actually. It was pretty cool. So to y'all and signing off. Thanks, guys.